So, I want to talk about some of the stuff in the news here. So, we have Pokemon Let's Go that was released semi-recently. Yeah, and so I know that Allie's been playing the hell out of that game. I haven't played it personally, but I bought it for my wife as a Christmas gift. And she had a really stressful day, and I gave it to her early. And then the second thing I was going to get her, the store stopped making them. So now I have nothing to give her for Christmas. But, well, we got to figure that out. But anyways, she's been enjoying the hell out of it. But there are definitely some differences between Let's Go. Yeah, obviously, there's Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, but it was based off of Pokemon Yellow, for those of you that were around when that came out. I never played Yellow. I played Red, and then Yellow was just kind of like a rehash with some tweaks.
Pretty much.
Right? And then this is a rehash with more tweaks. But overall, how would you? What are your overall thoughts of the game? How would you review it? What was your what were your reactions to it so far?
I remember when they first announced, the Let's Go games. I'm like a very, if you couldn't tell, I'm a very hardcore Pokemon fan. So when they first announced it, like obviously this title's a lot more casual based, which isn't a bad thing. Like I'm all about accessibility for like new fans and stuff like that. But I will say I was a little skeptical about it at first because I was like, and I wasn't playing Pokemon Go at this point because I just hadn't. But I was like, like Pokemon Go mechanics. Like, I mean, we're going back to Kanto. Like, okay. And then, I kind of warmed up to it. And then it got me into playing Pokemon Go, which in turn has made me exercise more, which is good. And it's fun. And then, when the game came out, I was like, hey, it's a rehash of Gen 1. I like Gen 1. I'm going into it with an open mind. I should like it. And then, I went and played it. And with it being like a little bit more of a casual experience, like I had a blast with it. Like, it's just nice to sit down and just sit down, play it, go like run around the overworld, catch Pokemon, which is a new feature, obviously, compared to the old games. But I really, really like it. I guess if I did have like one complaint, which I've seen some other like friends say this, which is, in some of the older Pokemon games, they had a really good post-game experience. So like Pokemon Emerald, you have like the Battle Frontier, which is like all the different facilities you can, not mini games, but you can basically do more battling with different like games and stuff. For anybody that doesn't know. But this game, pretty much all I've been doing in the post game is they have like master trainers, which basically for all of the Pokemon, you go and battle this one master trainer who has like a level 50 or 70, 75 Pokemon. So you could battle somebody with like a level 75 Metapod or something ridiculous. And if you beat them, you get the title of Master Trainer. So I've been doing that, and I've been shiny hunting, which, just looking for shiny Pokemon, which are, for anybody that doesn't know, it's just like rare, different color palette Pokemon. So like Pikachu's normally yellow, and the shiny version's like a darker yellow orange. But I found, I guess that would be my complaint, is as much fun as I'm having with the post game, there isn't that much to it. But then again, with the newer Pokemon games, they've had like less post game, so I don't know. That's my only really complaint. The rest of the game I love. It looks beautiful. The music's beautiful. Like I like it.
Yeah,
so,
I was shocked because I thought that like the different mechanics were going to kind of like, most games, the mechanics are kind of introduced sort of in stride, So I was like, okay, so when is she going to be, because my wife's playing and I'm watching her, and we're playing together, but I'm really not playing. I'm like, so when are you going to be taught to battle wild Pokemon? But then that mechanic's totally changed. You only battle trainers, so they have trainers everywhere throughout the world. So they've sort of upped those, so you get those battles in, and then you just sort of like catch Pokemon for some additional sort of mini game fun / like more minimalistic experience on the side, which helps. Obviously your Pokemon level up and such for your battles. But she is loving it because my wife, bless her, but she does not like a lot of challenge in her games.
That's fair. Hey, fair.
Yeah, it's funny because she loves two different types of games. She likes sort of games where you can collect stuff. So Pokemon's awesome. And then she likes horror games, like super scary horror games, but for the story. So she has me play it, and we'll play it together, and she'll kind of help guide me. But it's like white knuckling the controller type of stuff. So with this, the Pokemon games she's played in the past, she's often given up when it's gotten difficult because she doesn't like to grind. So she's just like, whatever, she's not that committed. But then she's playing this and she's like, oh, this is like kind of a more, I don't want to say simplified, but like difficulty's toned down. And it's like that lifelong dream every Pokemon players ever had to be like, I want a Pokemon where I can sort of explore in 3D and it's on a console, right? And hybrid console because it's the Switch, but it fulfills that like desire that I know that I had when the original generation came out, where I'm like, wow, I can't wait for this to come out on the N64, and then it just never did, and then the GameCube, and then it just never did, and then the Wii, and it never, and the Wii U, and it just never did, you know. And it's still sort of that like 2/3 perspective where you're not quite immersed into the world, but it's good enough, I think, that it sort of satisfies that need, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I think it's been pretty well reviewed in the press as well, right?
Yeah. From what I've seen, I mean, I haven't like gone super in depth, like reading all the reviews, but from what I remember seeing, it got like a pretty good reaction. I would say actually going off of, you know, what you said, kind of feeling like, you know, it's what you wanted when like the first like gen came out. Like it's so crazy. You know, I mean, that's where I started with the first generation too. It's so crazy thinking about like if this game came out like, you know, back then, I guess, you know, like it would be mind blowing. Like that's like childhood dream, like have your Pokemon follow you. You see them in the overworld. Like this game feels really immersive to me in the way that like I guess the original games couldn't be, just because it was, you know, so simple. It was on the Game Boy. So it's really neat. That's like a part of the reason why I obviously really enjoyed it. You know, I had like my favorite Pokemon's Raichu. So when I got Raichu in the game, I like low-key like freaked out a little bit. I was like, oh my god, Raichu's following me. This is the best game ever.
The best game of my life.
Yeah. And now you can fly on Pokemon in the overworld.
Yeah,
like
you can ride them and everything, and like
you get encounters in the sky. Like that's so cool.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Okay, here's a point that I was going to make. I remember now is that I feel like this is sort of a continuation of Nintendo actually listening to their fan base in the Switch generation. So I feel like Nintendo, at least under Iwata, you know, God rest his soul and everything, but I feel like that sort of generation of Nintendo execs sort of were kind of tone deaf to what the players wanted to some degree, you know, like, I mean, they
kind of take one. I always describe Nintendo as like they take one step forward but 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, because it's like they've never been about power like they used to be in their consoles, but recently not as much. They've, you know, had been avoiding doing a 3D Pokemon forever. They had region-locked consoles. You know, they had their Nintendo Creator Program that made it difficult for YouTubers.
Oh, God.
Like, so I would constantly have to duck my audio. You
saw the news. They like changed it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they got rid of that, or at least they're going to get rid of it. I don't know if there's a date that it switches or not, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing at least in the new year it probably will be. But Nintendo Creators Program is going away. We got a 3D Pokemans. We have like, you know, the Switch is kicking butt. It's not region locked. Like, there's just so much stuff that Nintendo's doing where it's just like on fire right now. And speaking of which, we're going to do a little talk about Smash Ultimate as well. I actually, full confession, have not played it because I just had this crazy weekend of watching my kid, and like watching a toddler is kind of like a non-violent Smash Ultimate. That you're doing nothing but running and wrestling and like lifting him and twisting, and like imagine like a kettlebell, you know, if you work out with a kettlebell, you know, but imagine the kettlebell is like alive and it's twisting and actively trying to get away from you and enjoying the hell out of it, having the greatest time ever, but also that kettlebell is live and is also lighting fires everywhere. He locked me out of my house this weekend.
Oh yeah, I saw your tweet about that.
He bit me. I was fishing. I'm like, there's something in your mouth. I'm like, open your mouth, buddy. And he spit it out and then opened his mouth and bit down. He had a dime. He was sucking on a dime.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I'm just like. So anyways, I guess my point is that I didn't have much time for Smash this weekend. So anyways, you said that you've played Smash though, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me all your thoughts on Smash.
Oh boy.
And then at the end, give me a rating out of 10.
Well, I can give you a rating right away. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Well, like, I mean, I'm a big Smash fan. I mean, I started, you know, I Melee on the GameCube, and that one's my favorite. And I've played them all ever since. And, you know, Ultimate, like when they announced it, you know, it's like the ultimate Smash game. Like everybody's back. You got all of like everybody's favorite stages. You know, the music's amazing. Like everything is. It's just so fun. Like I know that's kind of dumb to say, but you know, like I said, I was watching. I mean, kind of leading into something we might end up talking about, but you know, the Game Awards. That was the night Smash came out, and then they had the Persona announcement, which threw me through a loop. Yeah, threw everybody for a loop. Really.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like 30 minutes later, the game dropped, and I just jumped into it, and you know, I think this. I don't know yet, but this might beat out Melee as my favorite just because it has everybody in it. Because like, keep in mind, like yeah, when Melee came out, like, you know, I mean, Martha's my favorite character in Smash. So I mainly played him. And then, you know, Brawl came out. I really liked playing Lucas, Zero Suit Samus. And then, you know, with Smash 4, all the characters in that, I liked, you know, Mewtwo, Roy. I liked playing Pikachu, Villager, all that sort of stuff. Now everybody's here. So that's something that makes it so cool for me. It's just a big celebration of the series, one of my favorite series. And to see like the work that they've put into, you know, Sakurai and everybody, like the work that they've put into the game, like not only just the game, but like with the announcements and everything, like they went like all out. like with all, like, I don't know if you saw like the World of Light like trailer where everybody gets like zapped away, and like
I saw like some of the really early stuff.
Yeah, it's just so good. I've mainly been playing, you know, the World of Light mode, which is kind of like an adventure mode. And then I've been doing the classic mode, which is just, you know, normal single player. But I have not tried the online yet, which could potentially change my rating on it, because I've heard some complaints about like the online for Smash Ultimate, but I don't have the online package yet. So, because I'm cheap and I haven't bought it, even though it's really cheap, I just have been putting it off. So that might change it. But overall, like, I mean, as somebody that is a giant Smash fan, I love the game. And also too, you know, Smash 4, I really liked playing casually, but I didn't like it competitively. So this game is kind of like a good mix. Like, obviously we're not going to go back to the Melee mechanics, like but this is kind of like a good in between, if that makes sense. If anybody watching like follows Smash, I think it's like a kind of a good in between of both the games.
I don't want to interrupt you too much here. Oh my God.
No, you're fine. I was done.
The color, this is incredible for anyone in the chat. The color of my hoodie is like, it's a dark, and then it's like a light red. Okay, and it's really weird because the colors are all messed up. Anyways, the real rating, I think that you should let everyone know, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how much will Melee fans just bitch and complain about this game?
Honestly, like, I mean, obviously I'm friends with a lot of people in like the Melee scene, but like honestly, like everybody
friends with so many people right now.
Everybody really likes it. Like, obviously, in terms of like the competitive scene, you know, people that like Melee will stick with Melee competitively. But all my friends that I know through the Melee community, they've been having a blast with the game. Like, it's just fun, you know. Like I said, and some people, you know, there are some Melee players that, you know, they want to give the new game a try, because, you know, I mean, think about like the Melee community. We're out here like lugging around CRTs to every tournament, and GameCubes and Wiis, and you know, you
want to find a replacement for that eventually.
Well, yeah, like the thing is, it's like, you know, what'll the future of that end up being? I don't know, but you know, so it's cool like going to a game like Ultimate where it's, you know, obviously a lot more accessible to everybody. But, and also too, what's neat, you know, the GameCube compatibility, GameCube controller compatibility with that is nice. So, but yeah, I will say, Melee fans do complain a lot, but from what I've seen,
they ever?
I like it. Yeah.
My God.
I feel like every Smash game kind of has its vocal minority, I guess. But Melee players are very particular because, you know, we got to use like the GameCube, the CRTs, everything, blah blah. But I mean, I've gotten used to it, unfortunately.
You know, I mean, I'm not really want to talk because, I mean, I have like a Sony Trinitron over there and some old TVs, and I mean, I have a bunch of...
Oh, yeah, I have my CRT on my desk right next to
me. So it's like, you know, I collect all this stuff anyways, but I like to poke fun because the Melee community is so, like... They're like so elitist sometimes. And it's like, well, you know, I was playing whatever on whatever other system, but you know, it was a GameCube controller, but it wasn't an authentic one. It just wasn't the one I was used to, you know. So
all the controller stuff, like I know I have some friends that like mod controllers in like the community, and like I think it's really interesting, but also kind of like mind blowing / like crazy, like the amount of depth that goes into all of that, you know, like I mean, I'm fine with my controller. I mean, my controller that I use for Melee is like half falling apart, but you know, it's not falling apart, but it's been used. It's been well loved.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know.
Well, I think when you love anything, you can go down a rabbit's hole of it, you know, like, I mean, I'm trying to think of, I don't really have anything set up for my shoot the other day, but I had, you know, I mean, like for everything that we get the component cables or the RGB, and we you know, connect that to an OSSC, and like when I was connecting, I did a video on like getting the best picture out of your 3DO, and I got a specific 3DO that could output 240p because I either did an interlaced output, then I had to take that and take an iScan, whatever, blah, 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 and fiddle with it and plug in the S-Video and kick it out to my OSSC and then out to VGA.
That was 10 out of 10.
Nothing funny about that. That was 100% serious video, and I hope that everyone out there is getting the most out of their Shrek.
I got to go buy that video, or what's it called? What is the GBA? Oh, GBA video. Why was that video now? That's something else.
Make sure that you get the one people kept telling me in the comments that the one that's just Shrek and not Shrek Shark Tale is less compressed, but that's not the way it's intended to be viewed. Watch the one that's the dual pack so you can get the absolute best compression and quality out of it. But yeah, it seems like everyone's really enjoying Ultimate, and you know, I don't have a whole lot to say about it just because I haven't played it. But I think that Smash as a series has always been a love letter to the fans. And I think that although I'm not the biggest Smash player, and frankly, like when I've played Smash, I find myself like more so liking other styles of fighting games like Street Fighter and such. But I feel like it's just such like a beautiful love letter to the fans. Like, I appreciate the hell out of what it's doing, even if I'm terrible at it. Although, unlike previous Smash games, because I never picked up the one for the Wii U or anything, I'm actually kind of tempted to do this one just because I've been hearing so many good things about it. And, it might actually be an opportunity to get good. So
yeah, there you go. Gotta start training.
Yeah, exactly. Start training hard.
Yeah, actually, speaking of like the whole like love letter to the fans thing, what's really cool about Ultimate, I'm sure people watching, I'll just mention it, but people watching probably already know. But in the World of Light, like the adventure mode, they have like these spirits. Like, I don't want to explain like the whole storyline, but there's these spirits that are basically like kind of buffs or nerfs, or not really nerfs, but buffs that you can like apply to your character when you're fighting some of the other spirits that are in the game. So what's cool is they took from like literally like even the most obscure games or the most like well-known stuff, they took characters from all of those games and made them spirits into the games in Smash Ultimate. So like for example, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I'm blanking. What's her name? One of the Animal Crossing, the poodle in Animal Crossing. I'm blanking on her name. Harriet?
Isabella?
No, not Isabel, because she's a character. She's a character in Ultimate, but like an Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah,
character.
she is a character in Ultimate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so let's say they took like an obscure Animal Crossing character, put her in the game, and then you get to kind of fight her. You know, it would really be Isabel, but she has traits from that character that make her unique. So you know, she could be like super fast, or like one of them is like the screen will reverse like controls upside down. It's crazy, but it really is a love letter to fans where they include even all of these like maybe not little, but like not minor, but just like all of these characters from so many different franchises. Because normally, you know, like so and so character from this one random game probably wouldn't have gotten into Smash as a character, but hey, you can put them in as a spirit or an assist trophy. And
you give them a little something. It's like a little something for the fans, you know, even
beyond. You go through the adventure mode and you're like, oh, hey, like I know that character, or oh, hey, I've never heard of them, but they look cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's pretty neat. I like it.
It sounds like my son has woken up for the second time and he's most ready to party. My poor wife, she got back from Chicago and I'm like, I'm so tired. so tired from watching. Anyways, yeah. So let's go ahead and move on here. I wanted to briefly discuss. There were some Dreamcast Classic rumors that popped up on the interwebs, but all of these websites and news sites were like, this is the time for Dreamcast Classic, the Dreamcast Mini, the Dreamcast blah blah blah. But like it felt like no one followed the steps as to where this actually originated from, which was this tweet that I'm going to go ahead and put on screen here and move it. There we go. I'm going to cover up my face instead of yours. And you can see a translation here. Well, first off, there's a bunch of different models of Dreamcast, different colors and such. Oh, including the Hello Kitty one. That's fun.
Hey.
And it translated from Japanese by Microsoft. It says Dreamcast was released at the time a variety of design body. Obviously, that's not a very good translation. Which was your favorite design? And then it's like basically like a poll. So everyone was like, oh my God, the Dreamcast Classic is coming. It's here. I can't believe it, guys. Like code red. Like we're doing this. The Dreamcast Classic is coming. And all it was just a poll that Sega of Japan did that I don't think had any intention of being a Dreamcast Classic. But people were like, well, hey, you know, the controllers are so big and the units are so small. It's got to be the Classic. But if you remember, the Dreamcast was like this big and the controllers were like this big. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was they're trying to figure out some stuff for a Dreamcast Classic, but I don't really think it was news. I kind of want to touch on it because it's not news. I don't know. It's weird.
It's like news, but not. People thought it was, and then they got baited. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, maybe the poll meant something. I don't know. But
it's weird because they didn't. I think Sega's actually working on an official Genesis or like Mega Drive Classic, but there's still like the Saturn. And so that like they I don't know. Like it seems like a Dreamcast would be jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it's strange. I guess there's not really much to say about it other than people just like lost their minds.
Yeah, that sounds about right with the internet.
Yeah. And there's one comment that Richie, who hopefully he hasn't died, but he was supposed to be with me today and he wasn't feeling well, so he's going to call in, but then his microphone wasn't working, which is just code for I'm dying. And anyways, he had a really important point that I'm going to, in honor of his memory, may he rest in peace, tonight and feel better tomorrow. He did want me to ask the comment section if we believe that, eventually if there is a Dreamcast Classic, will it outsell the actual Dreamcast? Will it do better than the numbers of the original Dreamcast? Because that's something to think about, honestly. And I'm kind of tempted to think yes, if you know how well or how poorly the original Dreamcast did. So I don't know if you're familiar with the numbers at all, Allie, but obviously it's a failed system. So it's
I would think. I mean, I don't know too much about the Dreamcast, but if I had to take like a wild guess, I mean, I would think it would outsell not only just because, I guess now maybe in terms of like the retro market or whatever, more people would be interested in it because of that, and all the collectors and everything. Let me buy like 5 of these just to. One's going to be in box, one's going to be the one I use. Like you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I would think it would outsell, but I mean. Who knows if it did happen? Well,
I think that like Dreamcast, I don't know if you're familiar with Dreamcast pricing for games right now, but Dreamcast is hot. Like Dreamcast collecting is crazy. I mean, it's not like Neo Geo crazy where you're spending like $2,500 per game. And it's not like PC Engine crazy where you're spending like $200, $300, $400. But there are a lot of games that get up there, and a lot of the games start at like 70. Like a decent Dreamcast game, you're starting 60, 70, 80, 90, and you're going to a couple hundred. So collecting for the Dreamcast, I mean, it's gotten so, there's just such this crazy demand for it that I think partially because they didn't sell enough, those games are more expensive because there's less of them in existence, and it's created this buzz. Yeah, so it's just created this buzz, and I think realistically the Dreamcast has more fans now than it ever has.
It did when it first came out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But anyways, I interrupted myself with a comment I was reading. Let me know everyone's thoughts on Dreamcast Classic and what games should be on it if they do release one, because there were just so many amazing, classic, funky, weird games for that system that I feel like it could just be a treasure trove, especially since so many of the games are so expensive now that if they were to produce a Dreamcast Classic, I feel like it would be a great opportunity for a lot of people to experience these games without having to, like, you know, go and emulate them and whatever.
That's kind of how I feel about, I mean, I know a lot of the really popular, I kind of talk about the classic consoles, but the N64, I know the N64, like, really popular games aren't probably as high as those Dreamcast games, but, you know, as somebody that's, like, collecting N64 games, a lot of, you know, the Mario parties, Mario Kart, like, it can get up there, especially if you're trying to, I mean, box if you want it. But again, it's another way where it's like, you know, if that came out, you know, they did the classic, like, if you're somebody that, like, oh, I wanted to go back and play all my old games that I don't have anymore, you don't have to drop, like, an absurd amount of money to go and do that. Or similarly with, you know, the Super Nintendo, the original Nintendo Classic, like, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about the SNES Classic, because, you know, my friend had one growing up, but I never had one, so that I can go back and experience all these games. I mean, I still do want to collect for the system eventually. That's on my to-do list. But, you know, I experience all these games without having to, like, you know, shell out my wallet, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and even on top of that, really...
Or if you don't want to resort to, if you don't want to resort to, like, for me personally, like, I don't mind emulation, but, you know, if I can play it on the original hardware or, like, something close to it,
officially sanctioned hardware,
like, the classics are perfect for that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. And, you know, I mean, I don't mind emulation, but it doesn't really give me the same experience. I find myself not being as willing to finish games on emulation because I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But, you know, on top of what you were saying, in addition to the how complicated and expensive it could be to collect for these systems, you know, if you want decent quality on your, you know, TV, you know, most of you have to search out the component cables, or with Dreamcast, you can do S-video, but a lot of TVs don't have S-video anymore. But the best way to do it is VGA. And so you have to get a VGA cable, but more importantly, you need to find a VGA compatible monitor or TV. Now, luckily the one I have is VGA compatible, but pretty much, I don't think much else is now. I mean, I don't think. I could be wrong on that. Granted, you can try to get converters and whatever, and there's stuff coming out, but you know, for most, like, you know, most casual gamers that are just like, I want to experience what the Dreamcast had to offer, and I don't want to spend $500, and I don't have to deal with VGA, I don't want to deal with S-video, but I want it to look good on my TV, and I'm not going to get a new damn TV for the damn Dreamcast because I don't care enough.
Find a CRT on the side of the road for your N64.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, who cares about that kind of stuff?
They just want to play it. You know?
I mean, like, you and I care about that kind of stuff because it's like, you know, we got walls of games and stuff, but you know, it's like most people don't, and I think that us as gamers kind of need to recognize that, you know, just because we would like it doesn't mean anyone else does.
You know what I mean? I feel like accessibility is a big part of it, you know? Like having that, you know, because like the people, I was listening or watching a video earlier actually about like the classic consoles, and it's like, you know, like we're probably like part of like the main demographic for that is people that are already like gamers or whatever. But you know, the majority of those sorts of systems, I mean, I guess games in general, I've kind of always thought this, like you always have your hardcore audience, like your dedicated fans that will always buy anything that you do. So that might be, you know, like this much, but then the people that are really going to like keep your products, like to keep them like getting sold and buying them, or
perpetuate the business and everything.
That's going to be the big chunk of sort of like the general public or casual people. You know what I mean? Like a mom's going to walk into GameStop and be like, "Oh, let me get the newest Call of Duty for my kid." You know,
what are they kids playing? You know, a perfect example of that. I was my son had his birthday party and my brother-in-law was over, and this is the first time he'd been to my house since we moved, and I was showing him the setup of the game room and everything. He's like, "Oh, this is so cool!" Like, you know. And he's like, you know, he is, my nephew is 3.5, I think, now. I don't think he's quite 4 yet. But he's like somewhere around that age. And he's like, you know, I think, like, I'm just going to pick up an SNES Classic from, like, Best Buy this weekend. I'm just going to, like, order it online or something. And because I kind of want to play Mario, you know, and I kind of want to introduce him to some games. I think he's old enough to play them and kind of get them now, you know. And... you know, that'll be fun. And it was just like quick, easy purchase. And then he had father-son time. They were hanging out, they were playing, they were having a
sweet.
blast, enjoying themselves. And it wasn't like, well, you know, what you really should do is make sure that you get a Super Nintendo, and you got to go ahead and put a 240p test suite in that thing to make sure the capacitors are still good, and the colors are kicking out properly, and you know, you want to make sure it wasn't exposed to too much UV light, because otherwise you'll get kind of a yellowy color on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, make sure that what I'm going to need you to do is buy a $60 to $80 you know, set of custom component cables, so you can get the best possible quality. But let's backtrack a little bit. You really should have gotten an SNES Mini, because the chipset in that is a little bit higher quality. You're gonna get less dithering, and oh, by the way, if you mod that as well, and granted, that's some of the stuff that like John has done, like verbatim done that. But that's his hobby, you know, and that's my hobby, and that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But most people don't care.
I like that, but not necessarily everybody.
Exactly. Nobody cares. And my brother-in-law does not give two Fs about getting an original system and setting it up and dealing with it. He wants to be able to plug it into his TV and have a quick, instant time with his son, and then done.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so nobody cares.
Moral of the story.
Yeah. So, but yeah, basically, so I think that it would be really cool if they come out with the Dreamcast Classic. Who doesn't want it? But I think it's not going to happen anytime soon. It would be amazing if it did. I was just shocked at how much the rumor mill was going over this tweet that meant nothing. It was super sad.
Boy.
Super sad. But yeah, I think, you know, did you have anything that you wanted to say regarding the Game Awards? Because we kind of, you know, honestly, guys, everyone in the chat, I didn't watch them. I watched highlights of it afterwards because I was, what was I doing that night? I feel like I was shooting something, or I was busy doing something. I was doing some sort of work that night that I was unavailable, and it just didn't end up happening. I caught up on it later, but I didn't really have too much to say because we were talking about this earlier. Like, we're kind of Nintendo people, and there wasn't a ton.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I watched it. If anybody watched my stream of it, I was basically like half like memeing and like roasting the award ceremony while I was watching it just for fun, because it's like, you know, last year's Game Awards there was like a lot of Nintendo representation, but this year, you know, wasn't as much. It was still fun to watch, don't get me wrong, but it definitely made me, it always, whenever I watch the Game Awards, it always makes me realize how, like, I don't want to say out of touch I am with, like, modern gaming, but, like, I pretty much play, you know, Nintendo stuff and, like, retro games. That's pretty much it. So, I don't know. I guess what I think is interesting, or, like, what my viewers, I guess, think is interesting, they think it's funny when, like, I react to things that happen in it, because I don't, like, completely follow everything they're showing. Yeah, I'm just like, what is this? But I guess I would say a highlight for me, Celeste won. Oh man, I'm blanking what award they won off the top of my head.
Best independent game or best,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
I was happy about that too.
Octopath to win something, because that's one of my favorite Switch games, but I don't think they won anything.
Oh,
if I remember, I don't know. I can't remember, but Celeste did win an award, and I was so happy. Like, I was like, yes, finally something I wanted to win won, because that game's amazing. If you haven't played it, go play it. It's on the Switch. 10 out of 10. They're actually, they just announced limited run games, I think.
They did. They're going to do a physical release. I'm waiting for that because I haven't played it yet. But I'm going to wait for that physical release. Yeah, for sure.
I should have waited. Maybe I'll like it.
I think the tweet said January 1st, because they always do a sale on, like, right at the New Year. So I'm going to pick it up then.
I definitely recommend it.
I do think that even though Octopath didn't win anything in particular, I think in all of our hearts, it certainly won the least. Well, I was going to say it won the least marketable name award.
Yes.
So, the least marketable name goes to Octopath Traveler.
I remember when they were doing, like, the demo, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna stay with the name, like, Octopath or whatever." Blah 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 blah. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
I thought in the
demo, because everybody was already calling it that. So
yeah, well, at that point, you kind of, it's hard to switch it, but like, it's I remember too, like, a lot of times when they were promoting it, it was called like a project name, or like tentative, title is tentative.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it was like,
I thought it was going to change, but it didn't. So
nope, definitely did not. But
dropped the project.
The Game Awards were kind of a showcase of all the things I don't have time for. Like, I want to play Spider-Man, I want to play God of War, I want to play, like, all of these amazing games, but I just we've had, like, so many projects. Like, so to give people an example, here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here, but I have a stack of there's a box. There's a priority mail box over there. That thing's full of Wii development units, and on top of it is a bunch of prototype cartridges. So these things get sent to me, and it's like I need to return them quickly. You know, so it's like my gaming is oftentimes going through like weird random half-built games. So it's like when it comes time to like actually game, it's like a little bit more limited, you know?
I feel that.
So it's a blessing and a curse, you know, but it is what it is. It is a unique experience nonetheless. Yeah, so, you know, we're going to be wrapping up here. I want to do a couple different things. Before we go, I want to talk about your channels one more time for anyone that may have been joining us a little bit later in the podcast that maybe didn't hear your introduction. So did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself one more time?
Yeah, sure. So, intro number 2. Hello, I'm Allie. I'm also known as SCf3 on the internet. I mainly stream on Twitch, but I also do a lot of YouTube content. Most of my streams and my YouTube stuff is mainly focused around Nintendo games, retro games, a lot of Pokemon. I'm really into that. But I stream every day over on Twitch at 6 p.m. Eastern, except for Tuesdays. And then YouTube, I usually have a video up every other day around 3 p.m. Eastern. But my YouTube channel is just a giant collection of, you know, everything gaming that I'm into, I guess, is a way to put it. But if you're into any of that stuff, you'll probably like my channel, so come say hi.
Definitely really good stuff. She's a beast of a streamer on Twitch, so definitely check it out. And we were talking earlier that her YouTube channel is it's a bunch of different things. A lot of it, you know, it might be like this crazy reaction to something that happened on her stream. But a lot of
the new Smash reaction. That was at the Game Awards Persona announcement, which I thought they were porting like Persona to the Switch, which I would love because I want to play it. But hey, that worked. The announcement.
Like what do you know? Hey. And then there's also a lot of really good stuff where it's almost like marketing advice, where it's like how to build up, you know, or at least her personal experience regarding like how she's built up her channel and her Twitch channel.
If you want to do like YouTube or Twitch, you know, I have a playlist of all of those videos. It's like 70 videos or something crazy. But
a lot of that content, again, I had mentioned earlier that I do marketing for a living. So like, I just like I eat that stuff up. Like it's just good stuff, and it's always good to find a source of that, especially like you said, if you're interested in growing your channel and you want somebody else's input on it. I think that your YouTube channel is a really good source of that. Now, like an idiot, I only put your Twitch channel in the description and not your YouTube because I was rushing, but it's the same SCF3. Just, you know, type it into the search bar. You're already on Google. Look it up. You know, YouTube might even be giving you recommended videos from her because her name's in the title. And you know, check it out, and definitely also check out her streams at mostly, like she said, at 6 p.m. You said Eastern time, right?
Yep, Eastern time.
Eastern time. Awesome.